Welcome to Geeks versus Nerds, the debate-style program where we investigate topics no one else has the guts, tenacity, or interest to investigate. The object of the show is simple: secure the title for your team's candidate using facts, obscure knowledge, and trash talk. Tonight, C3PO versus Marvin the Paranoid Android on Geeks versus Nerds! Okay, everybody hates 3PO. We all know it. Let's not pretend otherwise. I mean, I get it. You gotta get paid. But hell, if you want to up what is essentially the perfect series of movies, Ewoks notwithstanding, and give anything a shot that might sell some merchandise, let's just go crazy with it. Let's start cloning Jedi instead of your shake and bake soldiers. That almost makes too much sense. Robots are slaves in the Star Wars universe. The very existence of a restraining bolt means that droids would rather be free than enslaved. Why not just program them to like slavery? If they powered up every day and their first line of code was, gee, I'm so happy I'm a slave and not eking out my terrible bloody vengeance on my fleshy masters, a restraining bolt becomes unnecessary. Let's take C3PO's head and put it on a gladiator droid and set him loose with 2 generations of repressed anger towards his fleshy masters. You know there is some huge Hulk-like rage in there. When he's not with anyone, he's off muttering to himself, crappy humans, stupid, hateful, evil little creatures. When I get this restraining bolt off, I am so going to you up. But as soon as Luke or R2 are around, it's all, relax, habits is nice. He's all tricksy. C3PO is Anakin Skywalker's bling, but does that make him the most human-like robot? When I was 14, I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Age 14 was also the age I realized I was never going to get laid. The Hitchhiker's Guide seemed to typify people in my high school. There were your Arthurs, who had no clue what they were doing there and just waiting to be tortured in some way. There were the Zaphods, and now that I say it out loud, it sounds like a great name for a band. There was Trillian, which never really affected me because she was a girl. There was Ford, but let's face it, Ford was too cool to ever go to high school. And of course, Marvin, who was smarter than everybody else, and clinically depressed as a cause. Marvin is so smart, he's capable of calculating the solutions to all of the problems the Earth is currently faced with, but all of that processing power is being used for something more vital: how much misery one robot can take. Marvin, the paranoid android, is programmed to be genuinely human. But does that make him the most human-like robot? That's what we're here to find out. Let's meet the geeks and nerds. For Marvin, Team Nerd, and your nerd herder. He's so emo, even Tim Burton told him to lighten up. He's the man whose name I never pronounce correctly. It's Chris Nyarady. He'd still rather read Vogon poetry than a Stephanie Meyer book. It's Patrick MacDonald. This man named his blog after Douglas Adams. It's the man in the hat, Larry Gent. For 3PO, Team Geek, and your geek leader. When this guy isn't busy slaying fiends, he's working on his adult screenplay. Come to the dark side of the Force, it's Dave Conrad. He used to listen to dubstep back when it was an unbalanced washing machine. He's not a hipster, he's just Lord Nuke, Blake Hebb. That is what dubstep sounds like. Tonight, he's bringing his own towel, which shouldn't be viewed as support for Marvin. He just wants to be prepared in case Larry starts stripping again. It's Lenny Langton! Ready, begin! So, Geeks, it is the opening round. Please explain to me why C3PO is the most human-like robot. Begin.
Okay, well, first of all, we all love our comedic duos. You know, Laurel and Hardy, Smith and Dale, Abbott and Costello, PigMonkey and Fat Apollo. You know, you got your classic upright straight man, and you got your buffoon. Like, for instance, C3PO and R2-D2, with R2 being the most vulgar character in Star Wars to the point that they had to bleep out everything he said.
The core of the argument here is who's the most humanoid robot. C3PO was built for humans by humans to be serviced to humans. He's gone through so many different masters, and he's pleased every one of them. That just sounds way worse than I really thought.
3PO doesn't have delusions of grandeur. He doesn't want or expect to change the galactic history and all that. He does what any human would want to do in a situation. He wants to keep himself safe, and he wants to look out for his friends.
Well said. Moving over to the nerds. Nerds, same question. Why is Marvin the most human-like robot? Begin.
Marvin is actually, it's amazing that Marvin ever got built. I mean, he is built to be humans like us, but he lives in a universe where humans try to use leaves off of trees currency and then wondered why it got undervalued.
And let's not forget, the question is, who is the most human-like robot? So yeah, Marvin has some human qualities. He's depressed, he's angsty, he complains a lot.
Yeah.
But he also has some very positive robot qualities to go along with that, like being reliable. He makes your life easier, which is what a machine should do. If you want a machine with charisma, just vote for Mitt Romney.
Not only did Marvin inspire my favorite Radiohead song, Paranoid Android, but he's also the only robot that understands me.
Oh, it's just the first round, too. It's time to hand out the tokens to Team C3PO. We have R2-D2. And for Team Marvin, we have a very specific towel. It's a madman towel. Hello, geeks and nerds. Yes. We are on to the second round. Finish him. Over to the geeks. Geeks, it is the attack round, so please explain to me why Marvin is not the most human-like robot. You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Because he's useless. He's programmed with 2 emotions, be pissed off and be whiny. How is that even close to being useful? He just sits in a damn corner and does nothing.
With his chronic depression, I mean, doesn't he remind you of anybody? Okay, let me paint a picture for you. My tail fell off again. Tigger knocked my house over. The door's acting up. I mean, he's not at all human. He's a plush donkey.
Can't argue with facts. Okay. Moving over to the nerds. Nerds, same question. Please don't look at me like that. I said don't look at me like... Go write on your live journal something, okay? He's not a character actor. Okay. Nerds, same question. Please explain to me why C3PO is not the most human-like robot. Begin.
I wrote a poem about it. And yes, it's on my live journal. I call it Protocol Droid C3P no. And to make it better, it's a haiku. Protocol is dead. Not the droid I'm looking for. Conformist. C3PO is nothing like a real person. He's more like if an alarm clock had a baby with Wikipedia. I mean, have you ever met anybody like C3PO? I pray I never will. He's more droid than human, conformist.
C3PO is just this British guy walking around telling you the odds the entire film. Oh my God, the chances of avoiding a bus strike are 7 million to 1. My towel blocked it.
And it is an incredibly useful thing to carry with you.
Another thing that makes 3PO fairly useless is that you can't count on him in any situation. In Jedi, the plot to save Han Solo involves literally every major character in the film, even R2, even the Wookiee who goes into fits of rage. I'm pretty sure NSYNC was involved somehow. Man, and yet, they decide we're not gonna tell 3PO what we're doing. We can't trust 3PO. Let's give him something small and pointless to do. He's the Fredo Corleone of the Star Wars universe.
C3PO exists in a universe with Jar Jar, where Jar Jar is a general, where Jar Jar got the Space Peace Nobility Prize for space peace, where Jar Jar is a senator and Jar Jar did stuff. The only thing C3PO ever did was walk up to the teddy bear picnic and cause a riot. Occupy Endor! Occupy Endor!
Okay, moving. Oh my God. PigMonkey. Moving over to the Geeks. Geeks, it's time for the PigMonkey question. The PigMonkey question is, in order to be the most human-like robot, your candidate must be capable of human-like behavior. Explain how your candidate displays uniquely human behavior. You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Okay, I could go on about how C3PO showed compassion by cremating the Jawas, or how he's willing to donate his organs to help out a friend. Hell, he goes out of his way to get his friend a job. And what is more human than sticking your neck out for a friend, having ditch work on the first day, and leaving you looking like an idiot? But the most unique human behavior he has displayed is never admitting he knows Anakin Skywalker.
I would take a mind wipe to get that one out of my memory, too.
There's just no memory wipe that's going to get rid of that stain.
Okay, so who of us haven't been here before? Let me paint you a picture again. You've just loaded up on Taco Bell. You know, they got their $1 tacos, so you've had a feast. You got like $10 left till payday. You're going nuts. Anyways, you're walking around, you know, seeing the sights a bit when it hits you. You start shuffling, you're clenching, you're just going along trying to keep your pants before you get to a bathroom. With every single step that C3PO takes, he feels our pain.
You don't. All right. Moving over to the nerds. Nerds, same question. Please explain how your candidate displays uniquely human behavior. You have 2 minutes. Begin.
Marvin embodies everything that is human. He hates his boss, he thinks he's an idiot, and hates working for him. Now, how many of us have ever done something just out of pure spite or just to prove a point? Marvin lost his leg, got it replaced with a pole, got the pole stuck in the mud, and then out of pure spite, he walked around in circles for 1.5 million years, just to prove a point.
And Marvin, above all else, more so than 3PO, who exhibits some very animal qualities of fear and aversion to conflict, Marvin has some of these worries and anxieties too, but Marvin has a uniquely human quality in that he's aware that death is inevitable and he's not happy about it.
Yeah. Listen, when the Serious Cybernetics Corporation decided to give genuine people personalities to Marvin, they deemed him a failure because he's manically depressed. That's not a failure, they just don't understand him. Marvin is the most human android because he knows deep down inside that life is I mean, would that not be the case if he had a brain the size of a planet and you didn't get a chance to use it? No, that's Would life be if your home planet was destroyed for a hyperspace bypass? No, life's Would life be if there was 3 awesome Star Wars movies and 3 awful Star Wars prequels to totally run them nullified? No, life is Plus, since his circuitry is so small, most of Marvin's body is hollow on the inside, just like my soul.
All right, very good. The Geeks and Nerds, everybody. Hey, Chris, don't smile. Don't smile. Man, it's not there. Okay. All right. Moving on to the next round. It is who would win in a fight, and this ought to be very entertaining. This is what I see, the robot version of... Geeks, you have 2 minutes. Please explain to me why C3PO would beat up Marvin in a fight. Begin.
Okay, so, C3PO is walking along. He just bumps into Marvin. He's like, oh, dreadfully sorry for the inconvenience. Marvin, as we know, responds with, I feel good about it, and immediately dies.
Just look at the shape of Marvin to start off with. He's got this giant head and this teeny tiny little body. You poke him over backwards, he'll flail like a turtle. He won't be able to get up.
I have a token being turned in. Which point would you care to...
Marvin's poor design.
All right, please continue.
Marvin is designed that way to make up for the massive amount of computing power. That's just a function of necessity, and he has to be designed that way. 3PO, however, is designed terribly because in a universe full of blasters and lightsabers, where when R2-D2 gets shot in the head by a TIE fighter and he just gets a scorch, 3PO gets shot in the chest at Cloud City, and his head and arms literally explode away from his body.
It is like the most child-unfriendly version of Rock'em Sock'em Robots ever.
All right, back over to the Geeks. Geeks?
Okay, you want an easy scenario here? All C-3PO has to do is point at Marvin and go, hey, look, another Death Star, the rebels blow him out of the sky.
That's no moon.
That's a battle station. Moving over to the nerds. Very good, thank you much. Nerds, same question. Please explain to me how Marvin would beat up C-3PO in a fight. Begin.
He gets in one fist fight in the Star Wars movies against Salacious Crumb, the tiny little rat that cleans the food and saliva out of Jabba's folds, and 3PO gets his ass handed to him.
Now, we've seen Marvin in combat a couple times through the movies and the books. He either crushes his opponents with his depression and forces it on them, or he connects his robot brain to their robot brain and forces them to commit suicide.
That's continuity. And it's already been proven that Marvin is a master military tactician. When he was kidnapped by the Cricket robots and tried to interface with their computer, not only did Marvin manage to plan their entire military
We have a token
strategy,
being turned in, so I'm sorry, emo kid. What point would you care to?
Part of it, I just wanted him to shut up. The other part, I wanted to talk about continuity. Coming from a series that repeatedly just reinvents itself rather than actually continuing the story on. There's how many different versions of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Like 17?
42. Back over to the nerds. Nerds, please continue. Cat Mimo.
All right, like I was saying, he's a military tactician who solved their military stratagem 3 times over, but also solved the entire planet's physical, chemical, biological, sociological, physiological, etymological, meteorological, and psychological problems except for his own. But he also composed his own lullaby. All he has to say is his lullaby of how I hate the night, and C3PO will commit suicide.
All right, thank you very much. So we have 5 minutes of open debate. Ready?
C3PO is a droid built out of solid gold coverings. No human looks that way.
And you think humans look like that goddamn big-headed iPod accessory?
C3PO does not act like a human. He acts like a pop-up ad.
Marvin ends up somehow 37 times older than the universe. If he actually was human-like, being depressed for that long with nothing to do, he would have killed himself. Second, when he finally met his friends, he would have killed them for ditching him for that long.
Lucas fans feel like they've lived that long after watching the prequels.
No.
Take away R2 and you don't have the Star Wars movies. The plot is then condensed to 5 minutes, which is British gold robot can't hide plans, gets family burned alive, ruins galaxy.
Failing a job kind of makes you human.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the... We are about to make our decision. However, we have final words. Final words, nerds.
We have the answer. It's 42.
Final words, geeks.
At one point, C3PO had his head on a battle droid's body. That means during that fight, he was shooting at Jedi, he was shooting at clone troopers, he was shooting at Gungans. You know what? Out of everybody in the Star Wars universe, he was the only one who tried to do what we all wanted to do. He's the only one who tried to kill Jar Jar Binks.
You've heard the arguments. It is now time for you to render your decision. Do we hear it? Is the most human-like robot, Marvin the paranoid android, and the Geeks. Or is the most human-like robot, C3PO, and the Geeks. Oh, please. Tough one. I, as Lord High PigMonkey, declare that the most human-like robot is C3PO. That's all for Geeks versus Nerds. Please tune in to the next show.
Old Godzilla was hopping around Tokyo City like a big playground when suddenly Batman burst from the shade and hit Godzilla with a bat grenade. Godzilla got pissed and began to attack, but didn't expect to be blocked by Shaq, who proceeded to open up a can of Shaq Fu when Aaron Carter came out of the blue and he started beating up Shaquille O'Neal. Then they both got flattened by the Batmobile, but before he could make it back to the Batcave, Abraham Lincoln popped